Hello world, how's it going? Hope you guys are all doing well. If not, as always, I hope it gets better for you. So today, I wanted to hop on here real quick. As you can see, let me pop you guys back over. Got a lot of tanks going on in here, and I actually ended up using a lot of substrates. I have a lot of experience mixing substrates, when they're old, when they're new, what they do. And I kind of wanted to share with you guys in this video what and why we see like shades like this, shades like that, shades like that, and just kind of different things you can use to help you with keeping it aquariums. And maybe like some of you guys may know some of this stuff, some of you guys may not know some of this stuff, but we're going to do kind of like an overview. This is a great opportunity why I'm filling these all up from the move and kind of how they react and act, and ways to either fix it and ways to get around it and ways to avoid it. So starting off, we've got sand, lots of sand. Oh, and also, if you guys are going to be around today, later this evening, 8 Eastern Standard Time, we're going to do a pond build, 470-gallon pond build from Boswell. We'll be going live. Got that scheduled on my channel if you want to go ahead and set that alert and reminder for that. But we'll end up doing that later. But what I'm working with here, I've got a lot of sand. We've got African cichlid mix. We've got play sand. We've got Eco Complete. And I'll also tell you guys my favorites too. We got mixes of like Brightwell and sand. There's some Flourish in there, sand. And also got some Flourish like the Stratum as well. And then we've got the... more of that. We've got some Indiana dirt here. We got some mixes. This is actually a mix from Tanner, a Serpent design that he used in his terrariums and stuff. So it's got like coconut fibers, bark, pebbles, all kinds of sorts of stuff. But you can grow plants, whether it's planted or not. I do prefer to have some kind of substrate in an aquarium when keeping fish. Even though you can keep fish, even no filter, without a substrate. I've done quite a few like that. So, I mean, it's not absolutely necessary to have substrate, but we'll talk about why some of these are cloudy real quick. Then also, I decided what I'd do with this over here. I'm thinking we'll do backyard dirt. So some of you guys may have seen my backyard dirt 1.0 that was in Indiana. We're going to do a whole backyard scape out of these 3 tanks here in the future. Probably make it some kind of series, see how that all develops. Everything from the backyard, from the soil to the botanicals to probably not the fish, just because I don't want to bring something in from the pond. We may dedicate a tank to the pond fish. We'll see. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. As you can see, I've kind of got a horde of substrate going on here. Oh, API pond media. You can actually get a big bag of that for a pretty good price. The fluorite black, this is some of the stuff that we're using. Now I have some of these buffering substrates, which are all kind of alike when it comes to the Brightwell. And then we've got Carob Sea, the Eco Complete, which I'm pretty much retiring that. I actually used to use that a lot, the Eco Complete, no more. I'm just not a fan of it anymore because it's really sharp. When it comes to Corydoras, it can really mess them up. Certain loaches, it can scratch on them, cause problems. Patrick Hardy, thank you so much for a $3 super chat. Really appreciate you, Patrick. But what I have started moving towards more, and what I like the best when it comes to planted aquariums, is sand. Sand is amazing. The Eco Complete is nice because it keeps aeration. It can really hold beneficial bacteria. So there are some things that the Eco Complete is nice for. But it also holds a lot of other mold and waste, which could be very, very prone to growing algae on the bottom of it. Because that algae loves to feed off of this moldy stuff. All this stuff suspended in the water column. Which, I thought I had my flashlight on me. Let me go grab my flashlight real quick. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like and what we're talking about. And I had some people asking me, how am I going to put fish in my aquarium so fast too? This is what pretty much instantly cycles an aquarium. You get some of this molmy goodness that you can either get out of your filter or in an old tank, sponge media, you know, off of your air sponge filters and your canister. But all that stuff you clean off, that stuff is really good for setting tanks. This was actually really, really cloudy, maybe about half hour ago. I was dipping that in, actually put in this bucket right here, because I'm going to take that to Sarah and she's going to use that in her garden. So that mulm's actually really good for her garden water too. And since we got a lot of oxygen comes through our lines, which I'll show that to you as well, how water can trick you. As far as like, maybe you might think you got bacteria or cloud or just something wrong. So with this aquarium, we've got the Carib Sea Natural Sand. We're gonna kind of work our way down here and talk about them. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible, but it's a lot to talk about. And I could talk about this stuff forever, and I figured I'd do it before I just went ahead and ran through it and didn't share it with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know if you guys enjoy this kind of content in the comments. And it will be hard to answer questions until I get to a certain point here. So we'll save those for later. Carib Sea Sand, this was actually really, really clear maybe an hour ago. And then I put some of that beneficial bacteria in it. And then it started clouding up on me, which isn't the end of the world, because it lets me know that it's actually doing what it needs to do. And if I had some plants in there, it would settle even more. So plants can definitely help your water settle when it comes to that beneficial bacteria, as you can see here. And even after it settles, say you moved a tank, moved a plant, or something of the sort, and you get that mulm that sets on top of those plants, go ahead, stick your arm in there, kind of wave it off, whether it be moss, ferns, any kind of plants. Wave it, just wiggle it off the plant there. That way you can get the bulk of it off there. Like maybe you'll get some settling of a little bit later. But if you let that settle and stay on those leaves, you're gonna get algae on those leaves and it becomes really problematic for your plants. Same with string algae. When you get string algae and moss real bad, you're either turning it up and over too much and you're getting mulm on top of it, which just feeds off the top. So way to prevent that stuff is keep that mulm off. Then here we got the Eco Complete, also put some beneficial bacteria in here. It was super clear by itself, but it's all settled. And now in the morning tomorrow, or even maybe later tonight when you guys join me for this live stream, it may even look different. We'll probably do an update at some point because I got a lot of videos here to make for you guys. And it's easy to throw little updates in. Then we got Carib Sea again, same situation. Over here though, we actually, what is this? I can't even remember what this was now. It's just so mulmy. Oh yeah, this is like dirt. This is a good old Indiana dirt tank. So that has dirt from the backyard. Starting to settle a little bit there, but you can see the tone difference from just that dirt getting into the water and then where it has had time to settle here as it clouds up. Now, if you keep from any disturbance to your aquarium, say you just moved this and it already had like the dirt substrate in it, and yes, I do move a lot of my tanks with substrate just because sometimes it's easier if you got that strength to do it, not get somebody to help you, or you can just put it in a bucket. But just let that settle. Get like a lid, something like this, or one that fits into your aquarium, and then put the water in that way, and then it won't disturb that so much. And say you did just move an aquarium and it has mulm in like the bucket that I showed that's on the bottom. Of course, that's going to kick up too. But same idea with when you add that water, it can actually keep that from kicking up as well. But these, I wasn't even able to see into these like maybe 20 minutes ago, but they're really settling. This is actually old mulmy substrate from the old fish room that I had in a bucket and dumped in here. So within that was a ton of that mulm. So these are just instantly cycled. May not be the prettiest, but they're instantly cycled. And I could run a pump in there and clear that out real quick while keeping that mulm in there at the bottom or within that substrate, and I would have a nice clean tank. Now I want to put fish in it right away, but maybe give it a day to marinate after a situation like that, just because that new water in that column is going to be fresh and kind of needs to get seasoned too. But I'll kind of show that to you guys before we hop off here, because with this flourish stratum, fluval stratum, flourish, sand, all does this like cloudy bit. Like when you first get the substrate, say this is a brand new tank, this was not cloudy at all, brand new substrate. Some substrates will recommend that you rinse them off, so always rinse them off, or you'll end up with a tank like this. It's nothing wrong with it, but it kind of needs to be washed through. So as you can see here, I've got a pump ready to pump that out, which I'll flow good water in while it clears up. And then after that, I'll get me a nice little cup full of this, little pitcher full. I got a nice big pitcher. I tell you what, those little pitchers that they have for aquariums and stuff, go get you a nice big pitcher. These things are awesome. Just dip that in there, instant cycle. Tank's pretty much, it'll be ready in a couple hours for anything. Then we've got the same situation. This was actually eco-complete, and I have not put the beneficial bacteria in yet, and you can see how clear it is so far. Now, there is different types of water where when you first put the water in, it could be really cloudy and cause air bubbles, which also reads high pH, because pH can also be per hydrogen. So I've got a water that is soft but has super high pH. And the reason why it has that super high pH is because of those hydrogen molecules, which can make your water look cloudy. But do smaller water changes if you got water like that, because the hydrogen will not affect the whole column of the fish as much instead of doing bigger water changes. So keep that in mind. And it is always good to let that oxygen settle, especially in a new tank, because what will happen is, especially in a soft water situation, it can rip up the whole skin coat of a fish. I was trying to get this is a very clear tank. I was trying to show you guys how clear the water really is and kind of what I'm talking about when this comes through here. There you can see all the air bubbles, which just adds all that pH, which isn't mineral hardness, but it's hydrogen hardness. So hopefully that helps you guys with some of the situations between pH and hard water and soft water, and then just what it does to your aquariums and your fish. I can save a lot of people if you wrap your head around that. And that's why some people will tell you to let your water sit in a bucket or a container and off gas the next day, and then it won't be as hard. And then let's see, what else was there that I wanted to go along with you guys for? So, also got an African cichlid mix. It doesn't always have to be like eco-complete or sand. You can pretty much do it with rocks, pebbles, all kinds of other designs. As you can see here, this is more rocky, made out of shell, and also has some sand in it. Actually, sand in that cichlid mix is a good combo. Those are cribs, moss, ferns. You can even do stems, all kinds of stuff in the setup like that. But yeah, definitely eco-completes, or not eco-complete. Sand is my new favorite now. This is actually play sand. I didn't even rinse it, but by having that container on it, I was able to keep the water clear. We do got our first shrimp in here, which I found him in the bathtub from holding the plants. I'm not seeing him right now, though. He's in there somewhere. But anyways, I thought I'd make this video for you guys to share with you guys situations, and hopefully bring this to people who haven't had that experience yet to see it for themselves. And really, the best ways to keep water clear is just not disturb the tank. And if you got new substrate like that, as a wrap up is just kind of push the water out, push the water in, let it clear up, then add in your mulmy cycleness. Now see, I'm not gonna start that water until this actually gets to a lower level. That way it gets most of that cloudy water out, and then it can work it at a lower level, because if not, I'm working against that volume of water to bring the density of that stuff that I don't want in there out. And I'm not sure what does cause that cloudy from that type of substrate, from the flourish and some of the fluval substrates. But as you can see right now, I'm still working with the hose. I don't have proper water lines in my fish room yet. This is a simple pump. You get them out of Walmart. What do I think? I was looking at fountain pumps or just submersible water pumps. You can actually get them cheaper by looking for them that way than say if you're looking at them for an aquarium pump. Sometimes just the way that they're described can make a big price difference because they know they can get away with charging you more. All right, I'm gonna hop in here, look for some questions, because lumber costs and building racks take time. Yes, for sure. Lady LRB, which eventually, yeah. So literally, Ron R says, why is the floor set up? And I've gotten this question multiple times within my videos lately. So I'm literally building my way from the ground up. Like Lady LRB mentioned, racks take time and money. I do not have the money to build racks. It's either I build racks for this or I build the framing for this. And I wanted to build the framing to this to start this off right so I can get more of these moved into a different spot or a more centralized setup, and also have storage on top, kind of two birds, one stone. But since we don't really have any money coming in right now, we're just kind of working our way up to stuff right now. And like I mentioned, gonna build it up from the ground up. So let that go. Where's the 1,000-gallon Gator tank? Oh man, you guys know I've always wanted a pet gator, and I've looked every night out towards the pond just to see if there was a gator gonna show up, because I wanted to know if there's gators on the land. And if you guys saw my short story, we ended up having one and I showed it on there. Now, yeah, now I know that it is possible. Gators do live here on the land. I've been watching like a hawk, definitely gonna be watching like a hawk more. Now I'm not sure how to really deal with that being in Florida, how they go about dealing with gators, but I have always wanted a pet gator, so it is kind of cool. I was out there, we hung out, that gator and I, for quite some time last night. Because why not? It was night, I was winding down. I seen his glowing eyes from the house. I was like, that has got to be either a water moccasin or a turtle or a gator. But the best way to look, just like I told you guys with the spider eyes, if you shine a LED flashlight out there, or really any strong flashlight that can go pretty deep, you'll see the glowing eyes, and that'll tell you when anything's in the woods or anything's looking at you. All right, so you can see that's actually clearing up quite a bit. That's the bottom of the substrate, top of the water, so we can at least see in there a little bit. And pop this back on for a second, let that clear out. I'm gonna hop back up in here for questions real quick. I want to try not to make this video too long. And I know somebody had a question at the very beginning, so I'm gonna scroll all the way up to that one. I don't even know if he's still in here. Pond gonna be set up inside? Yes. Yes, it will be, which we'll go through the whole thing, get insulation underneath it, talk about all that kind of stuff. That way it has something nice to sit on, because you don't want to like be kicking rocks into the bottom of it. Like over time, if I would just sit that on the ground and say pebbles get kicked in, get into the crack of it, that could be really problematic. Yeah, I wish I didn't have to function that golf cart so much as a working golf cart and keep it as a collector item, but I got work to do. Could always give it a new paint job. Ball Pythons 9 says, hi everyone, Lucas, I was curious setting up a new tank, but I don't want baby cherry shrimp transferring over with the filter mulm Any idea how to prevent it or unavoidable? So what you're gonna do, I don't know where you're gonna get your filter mulm from, a canister or a sponge filter, but you really just gotta look it over, squeeze in the mulm where you can. Say you got a container, like more of a bigger one that has more surface area on the bottom. You can let that mulm settle down in that, and then you'll see tracks if there's anything in there. This is what you can do with snails too. As it settles, you'll see the tracks of either the shrimp or the snails moving stuff around. And then you could either use a little turkey baster or something to get them out. But most of the time, with most of your sponge filters or canister filters, it's pretty easy to see if they're on there or not. Maybe, I mean, I've got pretty good vision, so I could be pretty biased on that. But that's one way to do it. All right, any last questions before? Oh, great that you're still here, ball pythons. To hear it. Sound like Del Chance. Have you ever finished third at the Ruby? I'm not even sure what the Ruby is, to be honest. Or who Del Chance is. Was it hard to move all those tanks? You know, it wasn't that bad, to be honest, even with the substrates in them. Because with the bigger tanks, we had these suction cups. And I tell you what, if you have a lot of tanks or are ever planning on moving a bunch of tanks, they've got these suction cups, which I'll show you guys over here, that will freaking make your life a lot easier, even with the substrate. You put these things on, makes a handle onto the side of it, and makes life a lot easier. Damo makes them. So Damo 10-inch vacuum suction cup ABS handle, worth every penny. Every freaking penny. You just push this thing down until that goes tight, and if you're under the red, then you're good. If you're over the red, do not move it. But those made a big difference. Now with the smaller tanks, like 20 gallons and below, you really, I mean, it all depends on your strength level on how you want to deal with it. But to me, like moving these tanks, I'm like, oh, it's a workout. Like I moved all these up here on here with the substrate and everything, even overhead. Like you get your lower workout, you get your mid workout, you get your upper mid workout. Exercise is good, especially getting the body moving. I'm so glad to finally be doing that again, because at the old house, I wasn't doing that so much. Any left at the old house you need to get. So there are fish, shrimp, and plants that I need to get from the old house. Yeah, that is clearing up real nice. I'm gonna still pump it out a few times. But say even after you add the beneficial bacteria, or say you did disturb it, like I mentioned, you could just still run it through. As long as there's some beneficial bacteria in there to restart the water, you're golden. All right, scroll. Ooh, Lady LRB, when will she be putting out more videos? That's a good question. Can't wait for another Lady LRB video. Oh, there's Wesley. What's up, buddy? But she did get a website going. So Plant Lady, I think, PlantLadySarah.com. I don't know. She'd have to tell you her website. I'm not sure exactly what she named it yet. T-Shot says, I've tried floating pearlweed multiple times in different tanks with ferts, and they always fall apart. Help. So if you have a filter, it can break up pearlweed a lot. Sand is great for pearlweed. So say you could plant it with pearlweed, and the reason why it's my favorite is you could either plant it on the bottom here, or you can set it like a moss, or you could float it on top. If you want to plant it on the bottom, grab you a handful of that sand, put the thing down there, and then sprinkle that down. Then it'll hold enough to keep it anchored. And that's actually how I put a lot of my mosses and plants in here. And if you have a filter and it's floating, then it can tear it up. And if it's constantly getting disturbed or moved upside down and all around, then it tries to grow into itself and out of itself, and then it gets confused. and it can have problems. Same with moss. If you let moss turn over and do all that kind of stuff, it can cause the same kind of problems. So anytime you can keep that from happening. Now, if you're not having any of those problems and you're still having a problem with pearlweed, it could be either the source or it didn't do very well in shipping and it kind of died away at that and didn't grow back. Maybe there's not enough mineralization, too much acidity. Like, you pretty much have to have 0 water as far as like the TDS and hardness for that to be the issue. But I don't know. I've had a lot of success with pearlweed, never really a big issue with any of my waters yet. But it should be interesting because I do have softer water, a lot different water here than I did at the old house. And with substrates as well, acidity, it could break down certain substrates like the cichlid mix where the coral and stuff can mess with the hardness. Then there's also buffer substrates that have softer materials in there that will break down faster in softer water too, opposed to hard water. But that's a whole nother video when you get to talking about parameters and effects with substrates and stuff. But try to work with your water, with your substrate, and what you're keeping to really give you an idea of how you really want to tackle those kind of issues. But all right, before I make this video any longer, I'm gonna hop off here since I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions. But 8 o'clock, if you're catching this today on the release date, we'll be doing that Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock, building that pond. You bring your questions in, because we'll be moseying around, putting that together. Haven't really put that much mind towards it yet. But should be a nice little build. Here's my buddy Wesley. Glad to see you out here, bro. You ready to get into your fish tanks? He's actually got a fish tank in your room, don't you? And what do you want to put in that fish tank? Axolotls. Axolotls, yes, which should be really cool because I've always kind of wanted an axolotl and never even messed with them. And Wesley will take us on that journey. So appreciate you all joining. Like I mentioned, join us for that if you got more questions, or Friday night live stream. Until next time, everybody, peace. Have a great one. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, like button. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming out because things are moving. Peace. No, I still got more to do, bud.